Real life in Mongolia, where hosts are willing to let their daughters do this with strangers all night. Welcome back to Discovery Fact, the place where the more you watch, the stranger the world seems, even stranger than your ex. Let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever dreamed of setting foot in Mongolia? A vast land stretching as far as the eye can see, with howling winds, horses running faster than your deadlines, and skies so blue you could stare at them all day without getting bored. When Mongolia is mentioned, many people immediately think of Genghis Khan, the legendary conqueror who once made the entire world hold its breath. Then there are the nomadic tents, endless grasslands, and strong, resilient people living amid harsh natural conditions. Just hearing about it already feels epic, right? But do you really think Mongolia is only about that? If so, you're seriously mistaken. Behind that powerful and majestic image lies a series of unusual customs and lifestyles that might make you rub your eyes a few times just to be sure you heard correctly. For example, in some places, hosts are willing to let their own children keep strangers warm throughout the night. Just hearing that makes your heart beat a little faster, doesn't it? There's also the fact that many people almost never bathe or wash their clothes, which sounds shocking at first. Of course, it's not because they're dirty or unhygienic. There are very specific reasons behind it, and we'll take a closer look at those in a moment. In addition, in certain regions, women are allowed to have multiple partners, something that is still considered taboo in many other countries. Just listening to this already feels both intriguing and a bit bizarre, doesn't it? And those are only a few small pieces from an entire basket of strange and fascinating realities in this land. That's why, in today's video, Discovery Fact will join you in exploring the unique and hard-to-believe aspects of life found only in Mongolia, guaranteed to leave you wide-eyed the more you watch. People here neither bathe nor wash their clothes. Ancient Mongolians did not bathe, nor did they wash their clothes. At this point, many of you might be thinking, wait, not bathing for just a few days already feels uncomfortable. How could anyone go their entire life like that? But hold on before you cover your nose, because to truly understand this story, we need to rewind time all the way back to the 13th century, when the name Genghis Khan echoed across Asia and Europe. At that time, for the Mongolian people, water was not simply something used for drinking or daily activities. It was deeply connected to spiritual beliefs. They believed that rivers and streams contained the life force of the earth and sky, serving as dwelling places for deities. Using water to wash the human body was considered an act of disrespect toward the gods and was thought to bring misfortune not only upon the individual, but upon the entire tribe. Because of this belief, bathing was not only rare, but also considered taboo. If you had lived during that era, you would have seen that Mongolian warriors, men who spent their lives fighting on horseback, crossing windswept grasslands and sandy plains, rarely changed their clothes either. They would wear the same outfit for long periods of time. When it got dirty, they simply took it off, shook off the dust, and put it back on as if nothing had happened. Washing clothes? That wasn't even in their vocabulary. Only when garments became severely torn or completely lost their shape would they finally replace them with new ones. So you can probably imagine just how intense the smell of their clothing must have been. Ironically, in Mongolian culture at the time, strong body odor was actually considered a sign of good fortune. The stronger the smell, the greater the blessing. Hearing this, some of you might be glancing at the shirt you've been wearing for the past few days with a thoughtful look, especially in cold weather like this. Don't worry, I know exactly what you're thinking. Back to Mongolia. The ultimate level of this honorable smell was when Genghis Khan personally gifted someone his old clothes. Yes, you heard that right. Not brand new clothing, not clean or fragrant, but garments that were worn, tattered, and soaked with his sweat and body odor. The recipient wouldn't be disgusted at all. In fact, they would see it as an enormous honor. To them, receiving the ruler's personal clothing, complete with his distinctive scent, meant being granted blessings, good luck, and divine protection. It's kind of like when fans attend a concert and go absolutely wild because their idol throws them a worn shirt. Basically that same energy. Today, of course, the custom of not bathing has almost completely disappeared and only remains in a few remote areas. Modern Mongolians bathe and wash their clothes just like people everywhere else, so if you're planning to travel there, don't worry, you won't need to mentally prepare to hold your breath all day. That said, compared to some of the strange customs around the world, this story still isn't the most extreme. For example, women of the Himba tribe in Namibia go topless and do not bathe with water, instead using a mixture of red clay and herbs to cleanse their bodies. But YouTube doesn't like that topic, so let's keep it low-key. Or take the Iranian man nicknamed the dirtiest man in the world, who reportedly went more than 70 years without bathing, simply standing near fires to ward off bacteria. After hearing stories like these, you start to realize that standards of cleanliness and dirtiness are actually pretty relative. Many people say that not bathing properly leads to illness, and according to modern science, that's true. But when we look at these cultures, it makes us wonder, do the same rules really apply to every place in every era? Hosts let their daughters keep guests warm all night. When you hear about hosts allowing their daughters to keep guests warm all night, many of you probably pause the video for a few seconds just to check whether your ears heard that correctly. And then you think to yourself, wait, what kind of custom is that? Where does something so strange and sensitive even come from? Well, take a breath and don't panic just yet. If you listen carefully and look deeper, you'll realize that behind this custom there is nothing vulgar or inappropriate. Instead, it is a long and complex story rooted in culture, living conditions, and the deeply ingrained spirit of hospitality of the Mongolian people. First of all, let's be clear about one thing. Not everyone who travels to Mongolia will ever encounter this situation. This custom mainly existed in remote grassland regions, where populations were sparse and life remained closely tied to traditional nomadic practices that date back hundreds of years. In these places, where nighttime cold could cut straight through your bones, keeping one another warm was not just a matter of comfort, it was a matter of survival, and also a sign of care and respect. For ancient Mongolians, a guest arriving at one's home was considered a blessing, a meaningful connection, and something to be deeply valued. As a result, guests were treated with the highest level of respect possible. If the guest was elderly or held high status, the host would serve a sheep's head, a dish regarded as highly honorable and symbolic of deep respect. If the guest was a young, strong man, then in some communities, the host's daughter would be assigned the role of sitting nearby to help keep the guest warm through the night. At this point, many people start blushing or feeling their ears heat up, especially younger guys, right? But hold on for just a moment and don't let your imagination run too far. This was not a romantic scene like something out of a CEO romance drama, nor was it a pleasurable or voluntary situation for either side. It simply involved sitting close together and sharing body warmth in the freezing cold, at a time when blankets, firewood, or modern heating methods were considered luxuries. For them, this was a duty and a matter of etiquette, not something to be enjoyed. And honestly, if you put yourself in the guest's position, it probably wouldn't feel all that comfortable either. Why? Because Mongolians traditionally bathed and washed clothes very infrequently, not because they were unhygienic as mentioned earlier, but due to scarce water resources and extremely cold weather. On top of that, their diet consisted mainly of meat and goat dairy products, so body odor was, let's just say, pretty intense. So intense that explaining it might make people who are eating put down their chopsticks. So guys, while the custom may sound intriguing, don't be too eager just because it seems unusual. You might end up running away faster than you arrived. That said, if you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you'll see that every culture is shaped by its environment and history. For the Mongolian people, surviving in a harsh natural landscape meant relying on one another and standing together as a community. This custom, therefore, was not something sensitive or inappropriate, but rather a strong expression of hospitality and collective spirit. So if one day you find yourself on the Mongolian steppe and hear stories about this tradition, or even experience it firsthand, try to view it with respect and understanding. Because sometimes the things outsiders see as strange are actually the clearest proof of how humans have adapted and preserved their culture over hundreds of years. A country that drinks milk tea all year round. Is anyone here a true milk tea addict? The kind of person who needs a cup just to fully wake up in the morning, grabs another one in the afternoon when feeling a bit down, and then, right before going to bed, asks their conscience, "One more cup won't hurt, right?" If you're nodding hard right now, don't celebrate just yet, because compared to Mongolians, you might still be pretty new to the game. Few people realize that Mongolia is a country where milk tea isn't a snack, isn't a seasonal trend, and definitely isn't a trendy drink. It's a traditional beverage deeply woven into everyday life. People here drink milk tea from morning till night, from winter through summer, while plain water is often used only when absolutely necessary. Of course, Mongolian milk tea is nothing like the one you're holding in your hand right now. No chewy tapioca pearls, no rich cheese foam, and definitely no 77 different toppings. Mongolian milk tea is a very real, very step-style version, and one that truly challenges your taste buds. Mongolians typically use mare's milk mixed with tea and fresh milk, and that's not all. They also add salt, butter, and roasted millet, cooking everything together in one pot. Yes, you heard that right. This is salty milk tea. Drink it and you won't be worrying about calories at all. The first sip might leave you frozen for a few seconds, but the more you drink, the warmer you feel. It's rich, slightly creamy, nutty, and perfectly suited to the year-round cold climate of the grasslands. For Mongolians, a bowl of hot milk tea in the morning isn't just something to sip casually. It's a source of energy to start the day, a way to keep the body warm, and fuel for long journeys on horseback. Pretty interesting, right? And speaking of Mongolia, we can't skip the food. This place is basically a paradise for lamb and goat meat. Walk around for a bit and the aroma of grilled meat fills the air, making you hungry before you even eat. Famous dishes include herb and cardamom marinated roasted lamb leg or charcoal grilled mutton kebabs. One bite and the juices burst out, guaranteed to make you forget all about dieting. But that's not all. There's also stone-cooked goat stew. Just hearing the name tells you how elaborate it is. The meat is cooked using heated stones, preserving its natural sweetness while warming you from the inside out. Then there are boos, Mongolia's traditional steamed dumplings with rich meat filling and thick yet soft wrappers. Pair them with salty milk tea and you've got the perfect combo. Add a piece of byaslag, a dry, slightly salty Mongolian cheese, and enjoy it in the cold. It's absolutely unbeatable. Because Mongolia's climate is cold and dry, local flavors tend to be bold, rich, and often spicy to help keep the body warm. You'll come across dishes like spicy kushur dumplings or budat ikur rice with a fiery kick, each bite bringing a bead of sweat to your forehead. The dishes may look simple, but once you've tasted them, they stay with you. Thinking about it, it's fascinating how milk tea can mean such different things in different places. For Mongolians, milk tea isn't a trend, it's a way of life, something that follows them from their nomadic tents to long days roaming the vast steppe. So, are you curious about this unique kind of milk tea? If so, why hesitate? Just grab your backpack and go. One sip and you'll probably be completely hooked. A winter so cold that even your breath freezes. If there is one place where winter doesn't just last a few weeks but settles in for nearly half the year, that place is Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia, and the holder of a title that alone is enough to make you shiver. The coldest capital city in the world. Just hearing that name probably makes you want to pull the blanket up to your neck, right? But wait, this cold isn't just cold for the sake of it. It has shaped a city that is truly unique, distinctive, and absolutely worth exploring. For those who may not know, Ulaanbaatar sits quietly along the Tool River at an elevation of about 4,430 feet above sea level, and it lies close to the subarctic climate zone. Simply put, this city was born cold. It's not the result of unpredictable weather. Because of this special geographic location, Ulaanbaatar lives with the cold almost year-round, especially in winter, a season locals consider just part of everyday life. During the coldest months, such as January and February, average temperatures range from about 5 degrees Fahrenheit down to minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. At this time, northern winds blow through the city like an air conditioner running at full blast. One gust is enough to make your face go numb instantly. The air is dry, freezing, and sharp like a blade. Take one deep breath and it feels like your lungs might need a short break. Snow blankets everything, rooftops, streets, and the surrounding grasslands. And what's remarkable is that the snow can remain there until nearly summer before it finally melts. From a distance, Ulaanbaatar in winter looks like a vast white painting, icy, quiet, and majestic. For thrill seekers who love extreme experiences and weather that is definitely not messing around, this place is a true test of courage. For locals, however, the cold has simply become part of life, so familiar that when it's not cold, something feels off. Despite being a capital city, Ulaanbaatar is not crowded or bustling like many major cities elsewhere. With a population, women are allowed to have multiple partners. When you hear the phrase women are allowed to have multiple partners, many of you probably straighten your backs, widen your eyes, and suddenly your head fills with questions. Is this real? Where on earth could something this open exist? Is it the kind of relationship where today it's one person, tomorrow it's someone else? Stay if you like it, leave if you don't? If that's exactly what you're thinking, then the story of Liziazui village, which I'm about to tell, will definitely make you rethink your ideas about love and marriage. Liziazui is a small village tucked deep within the remote mountains of Muli Autonomous County, Sichuan Province, China. It is home to the Mosuo people, a subgroup of the Wujiao Mongols, who have been famous for thousands of years for their matriarchal way of life. So what does matriarchal mean? It means women are the heads of the household, property is passed down through the maternal line, children take their mother's surname, and men mainly play a supporting role. Very different from the traditional patriarchal model many of us are familiar with. For more than 2,000 years, around 40,000 Mosuo people have maintained this unique social structure. Here, marriage is not arranged by parents, nor does it involve lavish weddings or heavy dowries. Instead, all relationships begin with love and mutual consent. And the aspect that fascinates the world the most is something with a very poetic name: walking marriage. Of course, walking marriage doesn't mean getting married and then literally going for walks to stay healthy. What it means is this: during the day, both men and women continue living with their own extended families. At night, if a woman gives the green light, the man quietly comes to visit, stays overnight, and then the next morning, walks back to his own home as if nothing ever happened. No cohabitation, no shared property, no legal binding. It may sound complicated, but for the Mosuo, it's completely normal. There's a common rumor that Mosuo women have many partners at the same time, but the reality isn't nearly that dramatic. Anthropologists describe this system as serial monogamy. This means a relationship can end if it no longer works, and a new one may begin, but most people still remain with one partner for a long time. Some couples even maintain a relationship for their entire lives. They just don't feel the need for a marriage certificate. As you can see, Mongolia is a place where countless fascinating and hard-to-believe things come together, things you'll be hard-pressed to find anywhere else. From mysterious ancient legends to the breathtaking vastness of its endless grasslands, remarkably free of litter, Mongolia truly stands out as a unique destination. You may also be surprised by the distinctive customs of its nomadic people, or by the experience of living amid a harsh, bitter cold while still feeling the warmth of genuine hospitality. Every journey to Mongolia is an adventure filled with discoveries, mysteries, and unforgettable beauty. So what are you waiting for? Why not start planning your own trip to Mongolia today? And before you go, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to support the channel. Consider it a small contribution to your future journey to Mongolia. For now, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.